Hi, Vanessa Rock, the girl on a bike, and in this video we're going to be talking about how you are absolutely killing your motorcycle without even realizing. So, motorbikes, they are getting more and more advanced with every manufacturing year that comes. There's getting more electronics on there and more things that can go wrong. But one of the fundamental elements of a motorcycle has gone unchanged for quite a while now, and it is also up there statistically the most likely part of your motorcycle to fail you and leave you disappointed. And so many of us don't realize that we can actually, for a very affordable amount of money and a minimal effort, look after that part of the motorcycle easily at home without having any mechanical knowledge at all. So in this video, I'm going to talk you through how you can look after your motorcycle, what it is I'm actually talking about, and talk about one of the products that I've been using for about 15 years now. So actually it's a product that I've been using longer than I've been a motorcycle rider, because I've used them on my 4x4 vehicles previously. So what is it that I'm talking about? First of all, let's paint a picture. You've got a date in a calendar, you've got a group of friends that you're going riding with, you've had your shower, you've packed your snacks into your bag, you've got your GPS route all planned, you know when you're meeting your friends, you've got 20 minutes, the sun's shining, you go out to the garage or the side of the road where your park's living, go to get on your bike, pack everything away in your pannies and your rucksack, swing your leg over, and your bike won't start. We've all been there at some point, I'm sure. We've had a moment where our bike doesn't start. And what is it that's not starting? It is the battery failing us, and we've got a flat battery. It is up there one of the most frustrating things, particularly once you realize that you can absolutely avoid it from happening by doing one maintenance thing to your motorcycle, which takes seconds in your life. So what are we talking about? We're talking about the battery, and we're talking about smart maintenance chargers. I think the first thing that's probably worth talking about is actually some of the technology and the science behind a battery, how a battery works, and that helps you visualize why these things that we're going to be talking about, which I have an example of here, are so good at enabling your battery to keep doing what it's doing. Now, there are obviously different types of batteries. You've got lead acid and you've got lithium batteries, but if you get the right one of these devices, it will work on both. But what I'm going to do is simplify things and look at a lead battery to start with. And inside a lead battery, we have a whole load of lead plates. Between those lead plates, we have sulfuric acid. And the combination of everything that's going on inside a battery, I'm making this really simple so that we can all understand it. No one needs to go really techie. We don't need to understand why, how, what magic goes on in a battery. But I want you to visualize the rough form of what's happening. So inside our battery, we have all these plates, and we have the sulfuric acid. If the battery sits for a long period of time and isn't used, so you're not running your bike, it's parked up, the acid can work with the lead and sulfuric crystals can form on the lead, which basically means each sheet of lead inside gets crystallized. When the lead sheets are crystallized, they can't hold the charge, which means you then don't have charge, and part of your battery will become unusable till it gets to a point where there isn't enough charge being held in there to enable the electronics on your bike when you hit that start button to do what it needs to fire the engine, ignite, and make the spark and combustion and all the magic that happens for your bike to start growling and purring along. Now, if we want to try and visualize this even more easily, you've got all of the sulfuric crystals on the plates. Try and visualize a pint glass. So you've got a pint glass of murky water that's got loads of sand and sediment and bits in it. And if you shake it up, everything's floating around in there doing its thing like it would do inside your battery. Bear with me. If you were to let that pint glass sit for a long period of time, all the particles would settle to the bottom and sit at the bottom, and therefore the mixture can't do what it's meant to be doing inside your battery. Bearing in mind, I'm simplifying this. So what you need to do is have all of this stirred up and have the right inputs being put into the battery to prevent the crystals building up so that everything stays fresh and clear and moving around inside the battery. And that is effectively, in a very simplified version, what a smart maintenance device like this CTEK one is going to be doing. And every time your battery is sat still, sat unused, it's going to be losing charge through these things happening internally in the battery. And what we are able to do to avoid that is literally as simple as plugging in one of these onto your battery. Now, I have a few bikes in the garage and they all sit and live on their CTEK. So you can see it's plugged in and that is just sat there constantly monitoring the state of that battery and doing a couple of things. So first of all, it is not just sending a constant charge to your battery. Some of the cheaper ones on the market will do that. They will literally just constantly push power into the battery. Now, if you've ever had a smart mobile phone, you'll know that any kind of battery doesn't like being permanently charged. They need to have natural cycles of the power of the battery to keep the battery active and energized. And so these are actually not just sending, they're receiving, they're listening to the battery, they're allowing the battery to drop a little bit, never to the point that it's not got enough power to start your motorcycle, and then getting it back up again and enabling it to have that little cycle like it would be getting if you were using your motorcycle. Because if you think about every time you start the bike, it's going to be drawing onto the battery that will be losing a bit of power. As you run the bike, it's going to be charging back up. So it's kind of mimicking that whilst your bike is sat in your garage. They're incredibly easy to install, and I'm going to be honest, they are foolproof. So they will come with little cables that can go onto your battery, red and black. They're intelligent, which means if you put the red and the black the wrong way round, say you're colorblind or just really having a bad day and you put them on wrong, the device will know. It's not going to suddenly spark. It's not going to do the reverse polar of the battery or cause any fuses. It will just not do anything and you'll realize something's wrong. But you put those onto your two battery terminals and that gives you what I like to call a pigtail. So we can see the pigtail if I quickly unplug my bike coming off, and that just goes into the pigtail that's coming off the battery. You can, if you don't want to do a more permanent wiring, just use some Crocodile clips that they can come with. This does take a little bit more effort because it means every time that you pull into the garage, you're going to need to access your battery and pop these on. So having it permanently wired with a pigtail is easier. And another bonus of this kit is if you get the right adapter, you can plug in a USB port, USB-C, or even the electrics for your heated jacket so that you can utilize the same wiring onto your battery. And then when your bike's parked up, you can plug in your CTEK POWERSPORT and it will be looking after your battery, which is exactly what you want it to do when you're not riding. So it really is foolproof as far as how easy it is to put on. You're then going to be in a situation where your battery is always going to be ready to go and charged and in good health for when you want to go for a ride. Now, the important thing is that these devices do cost money. They're roughly, depending on where you are in the world, somewhere between 60 and 75 pounds. You can convert that. If you Google a CTEK POWERSPORT, you'll be able to find them and find the exact price that's available for you. But this can generally very comfortably save you 3 batteries because this will enable your one battery to last typically as long as 3 batteries would last without being looked after. So this is cheaper than not having one, which definitely blew my mind and is why I've been using these for 15 years. And since having the motorcycles since, roughly 2015, they definitely all get parked up and we have a whole bank of these in the garage. So my garage, the bikes tend to park in slightly different places, so we just sort of have them plugged into the wall. But I have got examples of Gary, say, from Tour 1, who I've done Harley Davidson trips, who is, I think it's safe to say, a perfectionist, and I'll let you see how his garage is set up. They are all like perfectly wired in on the wall, and the cables are all neat and tidy, and the pigtails hang down exactly where his Harleys park. It's very Gucci version, but you can do whatever version works for your setup, where you live, where your garages are parked. Now, an extra bonus of these smart chargers is the fact that they can actually bring back to life a battery that has died as such. So if you get a completely flat battery, it can be quite impossible to recharge it with sort of a normal charge up. So for example, let's say you jump start your bike off another bike or off a car or off just sort of a stationary battery, it might then not retake charge, and you might then end up finding yourself hitting a flat battery every time you go out, even though you have put it on and jumped it and got it running again. These things have a recondition setting, and that does magic hocus pocus. I'm not going to go into the technology of how this works, probably because I don't really understand how the hocus pocus of this works, because it's going to be along the lines of breaking up the crystals and mixing up the muddy water. But by putting on a recondition mode, it will bring most or a lot of batteries back to life, again, saving you money. It's not guaranteed. If it's really, really past it, it's not going to work. The best thing is just to get one of these as soon as you get a battery and have it and look after it, and that battery will live so much longer. These devices are intelligent, so once you plug them in, it will listen to the battery and know what mode to put it on. If it needs to go into recondition mode, it will go into recondition mode. If it just needs to go into the care and charge mode, it will do that itself. And if you've put it on wrong, it won't fry you. So they really are foolproof and really easy to use. As I've said, I've been using them for many years now and highly recommend it. I get a lot of people asking me for tips about bike maintenance, how to look after your bike, what tools they need. And so this video is aimed at helping you understand one of the biggest and most common faults or letdowns that our bikes give us. And that is a non-loved battery. If you love your battery, it will love you, and it will always be there ready to go on that sunny day for your ride. Let me know if you've got any questions. There are, of course, a whole range of other brands that do these kinds of chargers. I can just personally very highly recommend CTEK, and they are, of course, available for a full range of batteries, not just motorcycles. So they're really good for cars, boats, quad bikes, ATVs, all of those kind of things. If you've got a battery, it's going to need looking after. If you enjoy my videos, please do let me know in the comments, and please hit subscribe and tick that little bell so you get notifications when I put out new videos. I'm Vanessa Ruck, the girl on a bike. I'm a motorcycle rider, racer, adventurer, and all things motorsports are what I love. And if there's a particular topic you'd like me to talk about in the videos, let me know and I'll try and get it in the pipeline. See you in the next video.